Yeah. What's the deal, everybody? My name is Ricky Montoya, aka the Fullest of All Bears, and you are now tuned into I Think You're My Driver podcast. Yeah, man. So, everybody, welcome to the pod, man. Just want to, go ahead and get this started off right. So, just want to let you know I got a button on today, a button up, whatever you want to call it. That means I mean business today. So, today, the title of today's episode is What Do You Know About That? What you know about this? Something like that. We all had an older relative around us. Some of us had the privilege of having older siblings who were cool enough to put us on to stuff. Some of us had older cousins that were like older siblings or even older aunts, whatever the case is. We all had that influence in our life who was able to bring us and put us on to stuff that we would have never discovered if we didn't have them in our lives. So that's what this episode is about, man. Being that person to help you open your eyes and learn about new things, because when you get around those other crowds, like in ride share driving, bro. I'm young. I mean, I just turned 26, but I was doing this for quite a bit of time. So when I get into those positions and I get, older people, it's really tough when it comes to playing music for older people, bro. It's a little tough, but you gotta fill it out, Start off with some classics, depending on how they're feeling, how you're feeling. Because at the end of the day, it's your car, you're the driver. So I'm the DJ in this place. And I'm letting everybody know that. I'll take requests, that's cool. That also lets me know that I'm playing trash music, so completely understandable. Everybody's got an off day, right? Craig got fired on his off day, so we all gotta have an off day, you feel me? So when I get like older people in the car, that's like the one when I'm like, ooh, I get to break out this throwback playlist. So, I'm all about like my 2000s. So I'm breaking out some Usher, whatever the case. Every once in a while, you slide a little bit of different, slide a little bit of Temptations in there. You got to put just some throwback music. And it's not even just to be like aesthetic or whatever, like social media will call it or whatever the case. Like it's all about being able to just vibe in different places, because there is so many different great moods that happen in all these different times and great music, bro. So it's all about finding what you like, and especially finding what other people will like, because that stuff really plays a factor in the car ride, because sometimes you're not talking the entire time. So, of course, it's going to mean different. I mean, I've been in Uber rides where there's no music playing, and I completely get it, because it's kind of tough trying to find what's appropriate to play and also what's appropriate to play of what you actually want to listen to. Because let's be honest, sometimes people will make some suggestions, and I don't think everybody goes through this, but some people will make suggestions and be like, oh, why don't we play this? I'm not putting it back in the playlist. I'm letting you know that now. It's happened once or twice, but it's cool. But the fun thing when it comes to playing different type of music is when, like say for instance, in your local city, you have some artists in your city that you really like, and you have an opportunity and you're building a network. Sometimes just playing the song really makes the biggest difference. So sometimes that's how I felt. I used to feel like DJ Khaled when I was driving. Like I remember one time, bro, I had this ride, and I try not to, make it all about myself, even though you're in the car with me. But I'm like, yeah, I make beats or whatever. And so sometimes I play a song, but oh yeah, what you know about that? Nobody knows about that. Like this is unreleased. Nobody heard of this type shit, but really nobody cares. Let's keep it all the way 1,000. Nobody cares. So it's a matter of just finding the right songs to play, which brings back to playing certain type of music. You get a younger person in there. Yeah, I'm gonna throw on some Lil Baby. Something that, oh, okay, you like Lil Baby? What about this? You listen to Rilo? You always get those couple of people who like to make different suggestions based off of what you listen to, which I am all the way open for. I'm perfectly cool with that, because, like I said, it brings me back to I get a chance to play some people's music that's either local or people that I know. And I try not to be like that. Oh, yeah, that's my homie. Because sometimes you still sound like a groupie. And I probably sound like a groupie now. But at the same time, when you genuinely support something, especially music, videos, you make movies, you know, social media content, sometimes just talking about it or supporting in the sense of just talking, sharing, telling people about it, and the sense of just getting people that like window shopping view into you. Every matter really makes the biggest difference because you will be so surprised of the people who really pay attention to you and the people who get tuned into you based off of situations that they have been in, bro. I've made so many friends and been a part of like little networks and just met different type of people, all just based off of being around people, hearing it, or whatever the case is, man. You just got to use everything to your advantage. And that's where I feel like you could really put into play of Uber and Lyft. So if this is something that you really want to do, bro, put a plan behind it. You feel me? And the same thing when it comes to music, put a playlist. Separate your playlist because nothing's worse than being in the car with your granny, being in the car with your aunt or your mom or whatever the case. And, randomly, here comes Big Boogie pop out plan. you know, here comes, something crazy. And it's the same thing. I mean, most people really don't care. I've talked to so many people to where they're like, "Man, you're in my car, so you're going to listen to what I'm listening to." I completely understand. But at the same time, like in all actuality, I got a conscience. So, I'm going to be considerate. So that's why I say separate your playlist, bro. And if you're going to play podcasts, be very careful about what kind of podcasts. I'm going to try my best to make this listenable and to not be like, dang, bro, you've been cussing for like 15 minutes. My fault, man. It's the old man in me. So, that's why I put on this little button up. Just want to let you know. Anyways, what am I talking about? But like, back to what I was saying, like on some real stuff, man, it's really important for you to really make sure that you're attacking things in the way that you're supposed to. Like, you have to really be calculated about it. So, depending on where you live at, that really makes the biggest difference. So, let's say you live in a busy town, which is like, it makes sense. Like, oh, I can make a bunch of money. I live in Houston, I live in Florida, busy areas. But busy areas just means more competition. So that means you got to get really calculated. You got to think of those little things like that because even your music choice will really make a difference on tips, man. Like I've really had passengers who have gotten in the car and based off of the music, it sparks a conversation sometimes. Sometimes like for instance, one time I had this rider who when I pulled up, she was smoking. She was outside. I mean, it's okay for you to be smoking most of the time. You pull up. A lot of these Uber passengers, they're like, "Oh, I got a couple minutes," and especially like depending on where you are, especially like a city such as within Oklahoma, it's not a whole lot of business. So most of the time, you're expected to wait a little bit longer. So, anyways, pull up, and she's outside smoking, and I just pulled right beside and I dropped the window and I was like, "Hey, are you such and such?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's my name." She was like, "I'll just be a minute." She was like, Is it okay if I just put my bags in the trunk? I'm just gonna smoke real quick." It's like, "That's cool." And so I'm sitting in the car. She gets in the car a little bit later. She got sunglasses on, she's big chilling just on her phone. So I just drive off. I think I was taking her to the airport. Yeah. I was taking her to the airport. And freaking I'm just driving and at this time this is when Astro World came out. So I was loving the Travis song with Juice World. I don't know why I can't think of the name of that. The party never ends. Something like that. I can't think of the name of it, but that's not important. So I'm playing that song, and the song comes on, and she's just back there chilling. She was quiet, no conversation whatsoever. It wasn't super far away, so wasn't really tripping. So that song comes on, and then it's for the club up, bitch. And as soon as that line turned up, she like looked away from her phone. She was like, "Man, turn this shit up." She was like, "This was my song whenever I was back in college." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And so, turned it up and we're back there chilling and the song turns off and then all of a sudden, boom, she starts telling me all these stories. And, that's all it takes sometimes is just those certain songs to kind of kick off the conversation. But, back into the story. This is a quick one. So she was telling me about how she was in town for a friend. I can't remember exactly what he was. I think he was like a football player or like I think he might have played for the Thunder. I don't remember. It's not important. Anyways, so she was out there because somebody had moved in and came and bought up a franchise of dispensaries and whatnot. So, anyways, yeah, she came in, was in town, checking out the grows, whatever the case. So she's showing me all the videos from her Facebook story, and it was pretty cool. Like I've seen those pictures, but I think like it's different when you see those grows in like the place when you could see it in real time like that. So she's showing me all these pictures. I'm like, oh, that's cool as ever. And she was like, yeah, so I got all types of stuff. And I was like, really? I'm like, what you got? And she was like, oh, I got these edibles, I got these cartridges or whatever. And she was like, do you smoke? And I looked at her like, did we just become best friends? And freaking, I was like, yeah, for sure I smoke. She was like, what? Starts digging in her bag, and she pulled out a cartridge and two edibles. She's like, oh, you could take those. That's for you. I was like, what? Thank you. She's like, shoot, thank you. You're taking off the heat that I got to carry on the plane. But I think she was going to a not legal state, so it's not always illegal depending on what state that you're flying into. But don't listen to my advice. We're all adults at the end of the day, right? So she was like, "Man, if I would have known that you smoked, I would have went back up to the room because I had so much weed in the room." And I was like, "Bro," because at this time I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job. Damn, man, you really just wow. Are you all right? My fault. My dog just ran into the stand that I had my phone on. The camera. Anyways, so basically, I'm saying that to say that you could use this to your advantage and really develop relationships, develop, bridges to build another relationship. And it's all about building your own network at the end of the day. And that's what I did as a Uber and Lyft driver is I used it to my advantage to build a network. And even though I may have not done anything with a lot of those people currently, in the sense of in a benefit of I don't even know really what I'm trying to say, but I'm just saying that I didn't really use, I didn't utilize any of those network communications. I'm not even gonna sit here and cap and act like I'm like, oh yeah, I became this successful dog breeder and I sell bully dogs and Maltipoos. No, I still work a regular job, but it's cool. That's cool. That's okay. If that's what you do, live your life, bro. Live your life. That's all it is. So even if you want to make this your full time driving, just be prepared for situations where you're going to be put in these awkward conversations because also with playing music, there is also the downside of people having uncomfortable conversations. Like, you're really going to run into some interesting people. So, if this is really something that you want to do, I'm telling you, get prepared because it gets weird. Like, dude, one time there was this weird ass dude, fool. Freaking, I picked this dude up, some old dude from like a pool bar. What do they call that? A billiards bar, whatever they call that. Anyways, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm like a professional billiards player," or however he worded it. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he was like, "Yeah, I got this pool table. It's worth like however much." And I was like, "Okay." And it's like, "Yeah, I don't have pictures of it, but you can come in the house. You can come in the house and come look at it." I was like, "That's what I'm not doing, sir." That's absolutely what I'm not doing. So, of course, I'm letting you know right now, you're going to run into some weirdos. So be prepared for it. But the message of this one is really to be prepared so that way you don't got to get prepared. And the whole point of that and what you know about this is because music choice can also be a mood killer. So make sure that whatever rotation that you got, make sure you got a good shuffle. Of course, not everybody's always going to like what you're playing. That doesn't matter. Your car, you're the driver, you're the DJ. But just beware. Some of these music choices that we pick, it is going to change. It's going to change the mood. Just shut that whole shit down. And speaking of that, I ended the fuck out of that story. And I'm not going to have y'all sitting here thinking, bro, that fool had me so fucked up. I was not going in there. I was like, that's what the fuck I'm not doing. He was like, oh, you're an Uber driver. Bro, I'm not going in there with your fucking house, bro. I don't care what kind of pool table you got. I said that was cool, trying to be nice because we're only in the car for 5 minutes. So you don't got to be rude, but be polite. But when people ask for that, Give it to them. Because, like I said, your car, you're the driver, your choices, your decisions. But it's going to bring you back to what do you know about this? And also to the conclusion that I do like to give for everything. Don't allow that little 20% of the time of people trying to test you and pull you out of your character to mess up the other 80% that you were building for yourself. That's going to be the main message that I always want to preach to everything in every single episode. So just know, whatever that little bit of time that you spend, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes it may be even 7 minutes in the car. Make sure you make those decisions to not let that little 20% to ruin your 80%. Of course, you can always go and get another job, but just understand, when things have to be done, things have to be done. So that's it for today's episode. I'm signing off. Like I said, my name is Ricky Montoya, aka the Fooest of all bears, and thank you so much for tuning into I Think You're My Driver podcast. Signing off.